Strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have an extremely exciting XRP video lined up for you. We are going to be talking about price action. We'll be reiterating what we said previously post the recent move that we've seen with XRP and how we were essentially speculating on it going to $3 first and then above and beyond. Also, something I want to highlight on prices, we are at all-time high. What I would expect to be at some point resistant. It's very common that a prior all-time high will act as resistance. We will talk about all of that towards the end of the video. But this is an exciting one because the New York Post published an article where they are speculating on the idea of a strategic altcoin reserve, a strategic US crypto reserve. And of course, XRP has been mentioned. So what we're talking about today is the prospect of the US government actually accumulating XRP. Now, this sounds far-fetched. However, if you want to control what is very likely going to, or have a say or a good position in what is very likely going to be a instrumental technology in tomorrow's world, certainly the financial system, what better way to do that than to own a good amount of the supply? We've already seen this happening with Bitcoin. In fact, the US ETF issuers are the largest holders of Bitcoin, also miners. And if you look at how the US maintains its dominance globally, we've been talking about this for a hell of a long time. They do it not just through fiscal measures with obviously monetary policy from the Fed, but they also do it through leveraging technology companies that they ultimately champion and unicorn to ultimately, maintain that kind of global leadership from a technological standpoint. And actually, I think it's kind of likely we're going to see the same thing playing out with the cryptocurrency space. In fact, we're already seeing it in regards to Bitcoin. Also, Litecoin ETF likely going to be getting approved first. XRP ETF is very much on the way. The SEC did appeal the XRP case, which is annoying. You kind of would thought they would let sleeping dogs lie, but not quite the case. Let's talk about what we have for you today. And this is something we reported on earlier this morning. This is from the New York Post. While many in the crypto community have been cheering on a pro-crypto executive orders Trump is expected to issue, one idea is causing more controversy. The idea of an America-first strategic reserve that would prioritize digital coins founded in the US, like Solana, USD Coin, and Ripple. What I mean there is XRP. In recent weeks, Trump has met with founders of these coins, and source said is receptive to the idea. So this is still an idea. Nothing has been confirmed, but actually it makes sense. And this is huge. This, of course, was from the New York Post. This was the article. It was titled, "Crypto Crowd Ready for Blue Skies Under Trump Administration. 4 years of harassment is now over." And if we go all the way down here, let's keep going, you can see the segment that we covered. So this idea, and Trump has said he wants to make America the kind of crypto capital. There's been rumors about them essentially getting rid of capital gains on US-based cryptocurrencies. That has massive, massive ramifications in the investment arena. If you don't have to pay capital gains on something and it's an asset that's doing well, you essentially are going to have people going for that over traditional stock market, et cetera, et cetera. If you do have to pay capital gains on and other such things. This is huge. This is not just an idea. This is something that has a probability of being a reality. If you look at what is happening with Bitcoin, there's a takeover from institutions taking place. And they're ultimately likely doing that strategically on behalf of the United States. So they can maintain dominance in a technology, just like they do with the internet, that is fundamentally going to change the world. Is it that much of a stone's throw? In fact, there's been hints at it, like the Post suggests, that they're actually going to not just create a Bitcoin strategic reserve, but a more broad altcoin US-based strategic reserve. And XRP is in that premier position. We've got so much coming for XRP. Obviously, Ripple as a company, I believe, are going to go public. That's going to be huge. There's going to be this kind of MicroStrategy-esque play for some of these altcoins. In fact, it makes sense. Look at the success Michael Saylor has been. I'm not the biggest fan of Michael Saylor and what he says, but I think you've got to give him credit where it's due. He turned a dead company, never recovered from 2000's dot-com boom and bust, whereas many other companies went to be the largest in the world, bought Bitcoin and essentially became one of the top companies in the world, one of the best performing companies in the world. That playbook, that essentially strategy will not just apply to Bitcoin, but the space more broadly. And actually, I think XRP is in that premier position. So there are a number of sort of clues in regards to sort of XRP. Of course, Trump has met with Brad and the attorney. On top of that, we've got the ball on Friday and Trump coming into office in 4 days. There's also been things coming out in regards to Eric Trump saying he owns XRP. Things are making sense and very much pushing us into that direction. So could you imagine if the US government starts to buy XRP? There's a potential. Then we know they're going to do something with US crypto coins. XRP's in that front and center position. And actually today also, very interestingly, or over the past 24 hours, I should say, Canary Fund just filed amendment to S1 for their Litecoin ETF filing. No guarantees, but this might be an indicative of SEC's engagement on the filing. Still no 19B4 filing yet, but that's the next step. What James is suggesting here is it's very much likely that Litecoin, like they said, ETF was going to be approved. If you look at what they said previously, we expect a wave of crypto ETFs next year. This was obviously on the back end of 2024. Albeit not all at once. First out is likely Bitcoin plus Ethereum combo ETFs. They've got futures on that. That's very likely happening. Then probably Litecoin because it's a fork of Bitcoin. Then HBAR. And then XRP and Solana. And that's largely due to the fact that there's ongoing SEC cases. We know there's an entire shakeup of that coming. And ultimately is going to likely be a resolve of it. You know, is Trump really meeting with these guys to continue to sort of persecute them? Actually, on top of that, Gensler came out yesterday, I think it was on CNBC, he was interviewed, and he said, there's thousands of cryptos out there, a lot of them are going to disappear because they don't have any real use cases, and that's what you should be focused on. Yet, the one crypto with one of the biggest use cases, the most impactful cryptos, XRP, was singly targeted by them. Something not quite right there, guys, and I ultimately believe this has been all put in place largely to keep the masses out of XRP and a kind of transformational technology. But that's all changing, guys. Ultimately, you know, there's a lot of nonsense when it comes to what various governments say because they often do the opposite, or companies. Of course, I'm sure we're all looking at XRP's price appreciation. Before we dive into this, and we are at kind of all-time high resistance, guys. So be a little bit cautious there. You can see the same thing here. We had a pullback. Are we going to get a similar thing? There's absolutely the potential. So be a little bit careful. What I want to do is recap on what we said previously, and then we'll dive into current price action. But I think deliberately to keep the retail, to keep the masses out whilst institutions load up on this. Because this is a rigged game, guys. But ultimately, with this breakout, what we have is a triggering of this wedge-like pattern that we believe is ultimately going to take you to $19. And on the shorter time frames, what XRP is doing is brilliant, guys. We've had this initial run. We've had this initial yawn and waking up. This is just going to be consolidation that's going to lead to continuation. In fact, I think we're already well and truly on that way. I think this pattern is broke. This is ultimately going to see XRP start to run towards the $3 plus range, and then actually above and beyond and march even closer to that $19.27 price prediction we have. Also, if this turns out to be a massive bull pennant, which it very much looks like, you are potentially looking at $11 XRP price. I think you might even see that in the first quarter of this year, certainly with everything that's coming. Very interesting that JP Morgan now weighing in on the kind of inflows that XRP is likely going to see, and not just weighing in on it, saying that it's going to beat Ethereum. So a very quick recap on what we had to say in our previous video. Obviously, we were at $2 and I think it was 50 cents, something like that. Obviously today we are very much at the target that we had put on there in that last video in an exceptionally short concession of time. This is the issue with trying to be too smart when it comes to the cryptocurrency space. You're now 42% up since we made that video just a couple of days ago. And there's a bigger trajectory going back to the big time frames that we're now on. $19.27. I think you're going to see it. Could be within this year. The only thing I would say is you are currently at all-time high resistance right now. And I would expect, maybe you've already had it, just like previously, some sort of a pullback here. And let's sort of zoom in a little bit on prior price action. But you can see when you made all-time highs in the last kind of wedge-like pattern, and we're expecting the same thing to play out again today, you did pull back. Have we already had that? And we'll take the sort of draws off with this pullback, or is that still to come? So do be a little bit cautious, but there's no doubt in my mind that XRP is on a broader trajectory. Of course, what we spent the first bit of the video doing is talking about fundamentally what might get it there. Is the US government going to not just facilitate a Bitcoin strategic reserve, but a US altcoin-based strategic reserve? It would make sense for the reasons that we've highlighted in this video. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to love and leave you on that note. Hope you're all enjoying this price action. I know we certainly are. On that note, I'll see you all in the next one.